Today I'm going to be reviewing the movie Dredd. I'll start by saying that this movie is awesome. It was released in 2012, directed by Pete Travis. It stars Carl Urban, Olivia Thirlby and Lena Headey. This film is an adaptation of the graphic novel Judge Dredd. It's a sci-fi action genre based on a dystopian future. It's high-tech, low-life. The cities are overpopulated, the environment is deteriorating, and more than half of the population lives in extreme poverty. And with poverty comes crime. The crime rates are so high that it's become a common way of life. Citizens live in constant fear of going out into the streets. This society is on the brink of anarchy. The only thing fighting for law and order are the men and women in the justice system. You have juries, executioners, and judges. Our main protagonist is Dredd, played by Carl Urban. He's a judge, but he's not a judge that sits in a courtroom the way we have it in our society. In this fictional universe, judges are police soldiers. Their job is to arrest criminals in the streets or shoot them on sight, depending on the situation. They are trained to be tactical and ruthless. Judge Dredd has a reputation for being good at his job. He is cold, tactical, and unforgiving. The criminals in the streets fear him. He just does what's necessary to keep civilians as safe as possible. He's commanded by the police department to assess a new member. She is Judge Anderson. She's a rookie. It's her first year in the police force, and Judge Dredd is going to assess how she handles criminals to see if she's fit to be a judge. But Anderson is not just an ordinary girl. She is a mutant. She has psychic powers. Specifically, she can read people's minds, and this would give her advantage in solving crimes. I just rhymed by accident. A double homicide has been reported. They make their way into the location of the crime. The deaths occurred in the territory of a gang called the Mama Clan. Our main antagonist is the character Madeline Mama, played by Lena Headey. Mama is in charge of this gang. She is a sociopathic, callous woman. This gang is in charge of the distribution of a drug that's going around. This drug slows down time in the brain, so the person intoxicated by this drug will feel as though everything is moving in slow motion. And this location is in an apartment block, and these blocks are massive. They are up to 200 floors high. They are even big enough to have their own shopping malls. So people live most of their lives inside these blocks. They don't even see the sunlight on regular days. That's not very different from how we're living now. The Mama clan have taken over this entire block. Judge Dredd and Judge Anderson get ready to take down this gang, one by one. It's just them two against the entire block. And that's it for the plot. It's not an overly complicated story. The entire movie, we see these two judges use their skills and intellect to survive another day in the job. The main characters' personalities are opposites of each other, and they both have different perspectives on the world. Dredd is much older than Anderson, so he has more experience dealing with the harsh reality of life. He doesn't believe that the world can get better. He sees the world for what it is. He's cold and hard-headed. Despite him being cynical, he does take his job seriously. He's not corrupt. He does believe in honoring his badge, and he cares about protecting innocent citizens. He finds satisfaction in wiping the scum that terrorize civilians. Anderson, on the other hand, is young and optimistic about making the world a better place. Or at least that is how she is in the beginning. In the beginning, she is naive. She doesn't have experience facing the reality of crime. Anderson represents Dredd's younger self. He sees himself in her when he first joined the police force. Perhaps he was once hopeful and optimistic, and with experience, he lost that spark. Anderson is put to the test when she has to fight for her survival. We see her transform from a scared, naive girl to a ruthless soldier. At one point, Dredd is even impressed by her change. When she comes face to face with humanity's darkest nature, like Dredd, she loses her hope and optimism. Lena Headey's role as the main antagonist was well played. Many times, writers rely on sexualizing female characters in order to make them interesting. Mama wasn't any of that. She wasn't glamorous in any way. She had rotten teeth and scars on her face, and she wasn't your typical damsel in distress that we often see in Hollywood movies. She was the leader of a criminal gang. She was violent and had no regards for human life. We don't often see women in criminal gangs, and we don't often see them portrayed in a non-glamorous way. Throughout the entire movie, we don't see Dredd's face. He never removes his helmet, but that didn't get in the way of the audience empathizing with the character. Because we don't see his face, it adds mystery to his character, which makes him intimidating. And Carl Urban did a great job at using his voice and body language to make the character feel human. The world of Dredd is gritty. The action is compelling, along with the music that has a cyberpunk vibe to it. This film was not well appreciated at the time that it was released, but now people are realizing that it was underrated, and I agree. The movie Dredd is awesome. I highly recommend you watch it, especially if you like the sci-fi action genre. That's my honest review for the movie Dredd, and thank you for watching.